This is Earl, my 2017 Ram 1500 with a 6-inch suspension lift. I'm Dan and you're watching BackCountry Builds. Today we're going to be discussing why you should install a lift kit on your Ram 1500 for those of you who are on the fence. We're going to break it down into 7 main categories: identity or culture, vehicle retention, suspension perks, specifically independent front versus live axle, and why the Ram 1500 specifically, cost, wheel and tire accessorizing, off-road capability, and resale value. So some of you might be new here, and some of you might be sticking around for RU, the 2007 Mustang GT CS. I know some of you are here waiting patiently for more progress on Sid the Chevelle. Don't worry, you'll get a brief update on Sid during this video. Here's some engine photos. And a lot of you are here for ATV and small engine builds and projects. However, absolutely none of this would be possible without Earl. I've owned this truck for just shy of 7 years and I'm still in love with him. Earl got his name because he's been so unbelievably reliable that it seems like all I do with him maintenance-wise is change a damn Earl. So if you've gotten this far, you should stop watching this video, scroll down to the description, maybe give Earl a thumbs up while you're down there, and click the link to the first Earl video, which is a good one. It talks about lifting your Ram 1500 and whether 6 inches is too much. Then you should come back and watch the rest of this video, and consider subscribing so you don't miss a damn thing about Sid the Chevelle, Earl the Ram, or any of the other seemingly ceaseless projects, restorations, builds, and resurrections we get up to around here. Over the course of the last 7 years, Earl essentially hasn't changed a bit, other than a few small things. I purchased Earl used from a Ford dealership in Connecticut in 2019 for $27,900 before fees and drove him home off the lot for $29,200. He had just over 33,000 miles and was bone stock. He's a midnight edition, and apart from being a bare-bones tradesman with a cloth interior, he looked pretty good in stock form. With that being said, I was 22 years old, had previously owned only lifted vehicles, and had no intentions of leaving Earl in stock form, especially not in stock height. Within a month, I had purchased a 6-inch full suspension lift from Fabtech. Again, check out the first video, otherwise you're missing out on some good details. 35 by 12.5 on 20-inch rim Nitto trail grapplers to be mounted on the stock rims. 1.5-inch hub-centric wheel spacers, smoked rear taillights. Removed and sold the side steps because they looked ugly and were way too functional to be rational for a young man in his early 20s. Naturally removed the front license plate mount, painted the perfectly shiny and chrome exhaust tips flat black, and in total I spent about another $5,000, but I ended up with this beauty of a final product we all now know and love, Earl. Now let's get into it. Why should or shouldn't you install a lift kit on your Ram 1500? Identity. What we drive says a boatload about us. The appearance of the vehicle we choose or negate to choose is what separates us from one another on the road. I've spent the majority of my life primarily in rural environments and plan to continue to do the same for the remainder of my life. I've come to learn that I'm a pickup man and couldn't picture a world without a bed in tow behind my cab. I would venture to assume that you, who opted to click on this video, feel the same passion for motor vehicles, maybe even Ram specifically. David Patterson, aka That Dude in Blue, frequently reminisces about the mid-2010s car culture and most importantly the power of respecting all builds, which I can totally get behind. If we're talking about just trucks, I've seen super cool lowered pickups, incredible overland setups, nasty drag strip and street racing trucks, and you wouldn't have to venture far to say that they're all impressive. You could argue it's heavily because they're unique. Someone took it upon themselves to spend their hard-earned money and time to make their mode of transportation special in their own way for themselves. For me, when it comes to four-wheel drive vehicles, I always seem to flock to the lifted, aka jacked up lifestyle. I've owned numerous Jeeps from Wrangler TJs, Cherokee XJs, and even Grand Cherokee WJs, all of which ended up with oversized tires and additional clearance between the bottom of the fenders and the top of the tires. But Earl is especially unique in that I had a goal to make him look a particular way, and I like to think that I nailed it. Regardless, when it comes to your vehicle identity, it's up to you to figure out what is yours. And if it's lifted Ram 1500s, I recommend you keep watching. This is a perfect transition to our next topic, vehicle retention. If we rule out the obvious, that 2 main things play a huge factor in how long you choose to keep your vehicle: reliability, like how much your vehicle breaks and requires repairs, and expendable income, how much money you got burning a hole in your pocket, and focus solely on boredom, that feeling you get when you decide, or at least seriously consider that it's time to sell your vehicle. I'm almost 30 years old, I've lived in numerous states, in different climates, and managed to put over 100,000 miles on my daily driver Earl, and still love him just as much as the day I drove him home. That is saying something, and I think the fact that Earl looks the way he does is a huge contributing factor in why I've held on to him for this long, and I have no aspirations to search for another truck anytime soon. I think if I had Earl in stock form, I would have gotten bored and shopped around for a newer 5th generation Ram long ago. And I would be hating myself with a killer car payment just to feel some form of excitement for my truck. That is just not the case. So, suspension perks. Why the Ram 1500? And let's talk about independent front suspension. So, this is a category which I like to refer to as suspension perks, specifically with regards to the Ram 1500. Some of you watching this may not even yet own a pickup, let alone a Ram 1500. The 1500, made by Ram, features an independent front suspension setup. Instead of its heavy-duty counterparts, the 1500 class, made by Ram, does not have a front live axle, and instead features a rack and pinion style steering, and has a modern style 4-wheel drive system with front axle shafts instead of a much stronger but earlier design with a solid front axle. Many brand pickups use this design with this class of truck, but if you were considering purchasing a Ram, you'd now be aware that different suspension setups separating the 1500 and 2500 and on Mopar pickups. What does this mean for you? Lift kit installation can be more complicated, and that you could argue that more goes into installing a lift kit in a truck with independent front suspension, or IFS. Whereas if you were looking to lift the truck with a live axle, installing some different coils, shocks, and a few other items depending on the height you're shooting for, versus installing a different differential mount, spacers, sway bar relocation, different knuckles, etc. when going with the 1500 IFS class. Without getting too into the weeds, some heavy-duty pickup trucks feature rear leaf spring solid axle setups, which look like this, where the leaf springs are mounted to a hanger bracket on one end and are running longitudinally along the frame rails with a pivoting shackle at the opposite end. 4th generation Ram 1500s without factory airbag setups use a rear 4-link solid axle design, incorporating a solid drive axle and coil springs with 2 parallel links per side for front to rear positioning of the axle, with a track bar keeping the axle centered. My previous 3rd generation Ram 1500 featured an A-arm torsion bar setup, which is an IFS design using torsion bars in place of coil springs, where the bar attaches to the pivot point and the lower control arm, and the other end of the bar is secured to a frame crossmember. If you aren't up to speed, this truck also had a 6-inch Fabtech full suspension lift with the torsion setup and rode really well. The 4th generation Ram uses a front A-arm coilover IFS setup, where the configuration allows for large amounts of articulation while maintaining proper suspension geometry. The coil spring is mounted on the shock absorber, and the lower control arm supports the load of the vehicle using the steering system tie rods to turn the knuckles left and right. This is not a sponsored video, but all these diagrams and write-ups are featured on Fabtech's Suspension 101 page, which is super informative. When it comes to the payoff, I would argue that there's no question you'll end up with a better ride quality with IFS, definitely for on-road use, than that of a truck with a live front axle. I've spent many hours behind the wheel of a live axle Ram 2500, 3500s, and sometimes I feel like driving, and sometimes it felt like I was driving a Jeep Wrangler. The IFS setup is top-notch, in my humble, untrained opinion. So, why the 1500 for me? I, much like many of yourselves likely watching this video, have always longed for the pinnacle Mopar pickup, the Ram 2500, 3500 Cummins turbo diesel. Unfortunately, I've grown to realize I simply don't need a diesel truck. A funny note about that is, while I was compiling photos for this video, I made a folder of photos of trucks I had taken that made it pretty clear, much like many of yourselves, I still have a longing for the, quote, next best thing. So let's talk about initial cost. As for the initial cost, inflation has certainly got the best of the automotive industry. When I purchased this suspension system from Fabtech back in 2019, it was approximately $1,800 shipped. My local speed shop installed the kit on my truck for approximately $1,000 on top of that. Now, if you go on Fabtech's website, this kit costs approximately $3,000. That's a good chunk of change. Now, Rough Country has another example of a different brand. You can purchase a 6-inch full suspension lift kit for about $1,500, about half the cost. Is it half as good? I'm not sure. Let's leave that discussion for the comment section. So, wheel and tire setup. I'm 28 years old, going on 50, so I'm a sucker for a lifted pickup truck with oversized tires on stock or factory rims. That might not be your forte, but installing a lift kit in your Ram, you earn yourself more ground clearance, and it makes more room for more tire and wheel. Custom Offset seems to have taken over the custom wheel industry. Again, this is not a sponsored video, but their website features a sortable gallery where you can doom scroll photos of trucks by year and desired lift to see what works and who's running what setup. Long story short, with a little bit of lift, wheel and tire options are seemingly endless. Off-road capability. With the ability to stuff some big meaty rubbers under your newly lifted Ram comes the discussion of off-road capability with your Ram 1500. Although some of us install lift kits on our full-size pickups for additional functionality, I will be the first person to admit that Earl's lift kit, tires, and stance stemmed almost entirely from a position of desired looks, so I can't talk too much about this category. I've had the pleasure of seeing some gnarly overland-style Ram 1500s, and I would love to hear from you guys about your experience putting these trucks to the test after installing lift kits and how they actually perform in technical environments, much more substantial than the deep snow and dirt road driving Earl sees frequently. Here's a cute short clip of Earl articulating his front suspension as we went to scoop up our new-to-us boat a few seasons back. Resale value. Exclusively using current Facebook Marketplace ads near me, I've selected 4 fourth-generation Ram 1500s, 2 of which are factory height, the other 2 are lifted Rams. The first is a stock height 2009 Ram 1500 with approximately 190,000 miles. The asking price is $8,000. If you scroll down to a few truck listings later, you've got yourselves a very similar in age, similar in wear and tear truck, but with a lift kit and oversized tires. That one's going for $9,100. More money. Exhibit 2. We have a 2018 Ram 1500, stock height, with 171,000 miles in great shape. The asking price is $14,000. Whereas a few listings down, we have another lifted Ram, similar year and mileage, where the asking price is $20,000. I would also argue with absolutely no factual backing that these lifted trucks will sell faster than their stock counterparts. So, a few more things, some bonus Easter egg things here. Comments about Earl. With the truck being lifted, I have saved so much money on performance modifications. There's no need to make your truck sound cool when your truck looks cool. If you think you're getting bored with your car or truck, maybe consider purchasing a medium price modification. For me, most recently I swapped out the worn out cloth front seats and replaced them with power leather seats out of a wrecked Ram from a junkyard. My love for Earl's interior has skyrocketed. Over the course of the last 7 years, with minimal thought, I have made the following changes to my stock Ram 1500. Fabtech Suspension Lift kit, multiple sets of mud style oversized tires, all of which have been 35, 12.5, 20, on the stock rims. I have no rubbing. I've trimmed no plastic. I have run Nitto trail grapplers first. Then with COVID, I could only get the Firestone Destination MTs. I decided to cheap out when we got back to Missouri, got a set of Ridge grapplers. And when we finally moved to New England, I purchased another set of Nitto trail grapplers, ran them for about a year until they were recalled, and I was given a brand new set of trail grapplers about 2 months ago. Another note is I've always succeeded in reselling the used 35s off my truck each time for like $400 to $600, so you can factor that into the cost of these expensive tires. I had about 10% tint installed all the way around, minus the brow, which I'm not all about. Right off the rip, about 50,000 miles in, the fuel level sensor stopped working, so as soon as the truck got below about 3/4 a tank of gas, it would read as empty. The only solution for this was a new fuel pump. I'm amazed there's no recall for this yet, but because this was an expensive fix in both parts and labor, I opted to let the dealership deal with that one. I didn't feel like jacking up the bed. Earl sprung a leak last year and needed a new radiator. Before we towed Sid the Chevelle from Alaska, I opted to do a full set of fluids to include front and rear differentials and transfer case, and I installed 16 new spark plugs at approximately 100,000 miles. Truck ran fine, just figured it was time. I had a few tie rod in boots and upper control arm rubbers split and cracked from age, so I opted to replace those. Towing the Chevelle from Alaska and Missouri put a damper on, or should I say it didn't, on the rear Fabtech shocks, which I replaced with new Fabtech Stealth shocks. At about 120,000 miles, the front wheel bearings started to have some pretty decent play and were replaced before they got too bad. I got so sick of the super common 5.7 Hemi exhaust leak tick, I brought Earl to our local shop where they extracted multiple snapped-off exhaust studs and replaced the warped exhaust manifold. I've had countless windshields put in this truck for various gravel chips that turned into cracks. Again, started to get bored in 2023, so I made another purchase. I got some HID headlight bulbs, and Tacom actually sponsored the new fog light housing, so Earl's front end is looking right. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. I hope this video helps at least one of you, and if so, it'll be a success. Don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns. Again, I'm not an expert, but I pride myself on getting back to everyone as best as I can. BackCountry Builds has been hammering out TikTok videos with a huge emphasis on flipping my way from primarily lawnmowers to profit for Sid the Chevelle's restoration. BackCountry Builds has the goal of reaching 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year, 2026. So if you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to leave a thumbs up, check out some of the other videos on the channel, and consider subscribing so you don't miss any more updates about Sid, Earl, or the many other current projects or those on the horizon. Thanks for watching.